Well, folks, this is update number 2, and World War III might honestly be stepping up in the Middle East now. We are actually starting to see gas lines forming in Israel, Lebanon, and Iran as we expect massive oil supply disruptions over the next weeks. There have now been 4 waves of attacks launched against Israel. We expect many more. We expected the first drone attack to just be the first wave, a distraction with slower moving piston-flying drones at about 120, 130 miles per hour. These are relatively easy to shoot down, but we are now seeing potentially hypersonics launched, cruise missiles launched, multiple types of artillery launched against Israel. And folks, this is not looking good. Not only is Israel getting attacked by Hezbollah from the north, and Israel is counterattacking Hezbollah already in Lebanon, but Yemen is expected to launch missiles from the south. That is, of course, the Houthis, so the Houthis in Yemen. And then, of course, the Iranian drone attacks, as well as cruise missile attacks flying over Syria, potentially over Jordan, although Jordan's already declared a state of emergency, mostly because at least they say they're going to defend their airspace, but it's entirely possible that drones might land short of their target and crash in Jordan, Syria. Some have already reportedly crashed in Iraq. The U.S. and Great Britain have already gotten involved in counterattacking some of these drones that are flying over to Israel, allegedly shooting some of them down. We have Russia coming out with a statement that they are prepared to defend Iran in this conflict. So you can see the battle lines being drawn. The U.S., Great Britain, Israel versus potentially Iran, Russia, and other actors in the region with Hezbollah and the Houthis to the north and to the south. Donald Trump has tweeted that this should never have been allowed to happen, that this would have never been allowed to happen if I were president, he tweeted. Joe Biden, there was a rumor that he was going to make a statement from the Oval Office. Apparently that is not actually happening, and instead Joe Biden is staying up to date with the updates coming out. In addition to this, Joe Biden apparently, or the White House is apparently trying to get in contact with Iran, but their calls are being rejected. The United States did warn Iran to, quote, as Biden said, don't attack Israel. Obviously, those warnings were ignored, and right now it looks like a contact from the United States is being ignored as well. The name of this attack is Operation True Promise. That is the Iranian name of the attack. There is some footage, although this could be older, prior footage of Iranian weaponry underground, likely to hide itself from CIA eyes or satellite imagery. But anyway, you could see the imagery on screen here. Iran has also made it clear that their position is that any country that opens its airspace to Israel will be considered an enemy of Iran. That is because Iran expects a counterattack by Israel. In fact, Israel around Tehran is now setting up GPS jammers, multiple jammer vehicles you can see on screen here. Keep in mind, when we put imagery up, some of these images could be older. Sometimes things circulate in social media that aren't absolutely current, but they're examples of potentially what could be current. I'm trying to give you text-based factual information. We'll throw some imagery up just to give you some context. And of course, as we get updates, we'll keep providing them. This is the second update, so make sure to subscribe to the channel. A lot more to cover, though, right now, including what futures markets are already indicating and implying for the markets, for equities and oil and otherwise. Keep in mind right now, Lebanon, Egypt, Iraq, Jordan, Israel, and Kuwait have all blocked or closed their airspace, including parts of Iran. You've also now got Israel trying to jam GPS to prevent these drones from being able to find their targets in Israel. Although there's also a suggestion that cyber attacks are attacking Israeli radar systems, which is really bad because that hurts Israel's 5-level defense system. Now, I'm going to get the order of these levels wrong, but it's worth just noting what some of the different levels are, just so you're familiar with the phrases. One level is the Iron Dome. You're probably familiar with this as the most popular one. This is designed for shorter range missiles, rockets, and drones. Then you have the Iron Beam, which is, again, the order's probably wrong, but I believe that's the 5th level of defense, and that is a short-range directed energy weapon to sort of shoot drones out of the sky or short-range rockets. Then you've got, I wrote it down as level 2, which is the Arrow 2 system, a 1995 anti-ballistic missile weaponry system. Level 3, we've got Arrow 3, which came out in 2017. And level 4, which is called David's Sling. That's a reference to David versus Goliath. It was previously known as the Magic Wand. It was completed in partnership with Raytheon, the American military defense contractor. And David Sling is designed to use multiple different radar systems and GPS systems to target medium to long-range ballistic missiles. So they're really designed to replace some of the Patriot batteries. Remember, usually you're getting substantially faster rockets to take down other attack rockets. So attack rockets might fly at speeds of 1,000 to 3,000 miles per hour, whereas some of the anti-missile systems will fly at 4,000 to 6,000 miles. You want to come in the video? Come on over here, Max. I know you're a little bored watching this, but war is breaking out. Come on over here, little guy, hiding behind the chair over there. Anyway, so David Sling came operational in April of 2017. And we now have red alerts in the city of Snir in northern Israel. We expect these red alerts to expand. Israel's equivalent of Air Force One has gone airborne. This is very normal. This is because we would expect that airports are a very common, high-value target for military operations because they prevent the launching of counterattack fighter jets, F-35s, F-22s, F-16s. A lot of these, of course, supplied by the United States military, drones, whatever. Airports are very, very high-value targets. That's why, for example, the airport outside of Tel Aviv and Jerusalem, these have been shut down. We've got bomb shelters are now opening in the northwest portions of Israel. One of the reasons you're getting that northwest that's particularly being focused on, or really just a northern region, northwest, northeast, one of the reasons for that is not only Hezbollah from the north, but if you look at a map, you'll actually see that you could fly directly over from Iran, directly over Iraq, and then through Syria into Israel without crossing Jordan's airspace. But if you wanted to hit the lower portions of Israel, you'd have to fly over Jordan, and Jordan's already made it very, very clear they're going to shoot down anything in their airspace. So far, we're, I believe, at the fourth wave of drones and missiles heading over to Israel. 400 to 500 one-way suicide drones expected to be on the way. We did break down the type of these drones, the 131s and the 136s, in Update 1. Remember, these are the drones we talked about in Update number 1. That Russia likely bought for as much as 1.78 tons of gold ingots from Iran. Iran manufactures a lot of these. We talked about some of the pricing of these in Update 1, so if you haven't watched Update 1 yet, watch that. It's also very important to see that we have multiple what appear to be images of missiles being launched over Iraqi airspace, although some of these images show sort of reflections that sort of make it seem like there are multiple missiles when you kind of have to remove what appear to be glass reflections. Equity futures right now are implying a 400-point futures drop on the Dow. That's roughly 1%. That's about 95 basis points. I would expect the NASDAQ to move with about a beta of 2 at least to the Dow here, so probably down about 2%, maybe even as much as 3%. Some are suspecting that this could be a worse drop than what we saw during the start of COVID. We expect oil to spike, which will likely, and this is going to be a little ironic and a little complicated to follow, but if oil spikes because of war, you'll see people buy bonds, and so Treasury yields might actually go down on Monday, but expectations for cuts by the Federal Reserve might actually also go down because of the inflationary impact of oil. So the inflationary impact of oil, even though that gets removed from top-line CPI, it does end up trickling down to the rest of the economy, and it is something the Federal Reserve is going to pay attention to. So there is a lagged inflationary impact of more expensive oil and gas prices. Quite frankly, everything from plastic manufacturing to the transportation of goods and services, freight, everything is going to be affected by oil prices. Hello, Mr. Skittle. What's your favorite Skittle color?
Orange.
Orange, all right, thank you. Israel is expected to respond, whether there are going to be casualties or not. As of about 6 p.m. Eastern Time, Israel is expected to have a response meeting at about 11 p.m. Eastern Time on April 13th. to decide how to respond. This is being considered the worst-case scenario for Israel, and this is being deemed a substantially larger attack against Israel than not. There were some rumors that we would just see some cargo ships getting seized, which we did. There were some rumors that Iran was going to decide to call off the attack. There were also some rumors that Kevin was going to increase the prices of his courses next week when we drop some new hot lectures on the courses on building your wealth. That would be my stock, buy, trade, sell alerts. You'll see a lot of trades probably on Monday when we actually open up. I'll send all those alerts, so buckle up for that. But we'll also be releasing new lectures for the real estate investing segments, the entrepreneurship segments, entrepreneurship with AI and the gold course, do-it-yourself property management, all of that. Stay tuned. That price will be going up next Friday. Email us at staff@meetkevin.com if you need any kind of bundle coupon. McKay will take great care of you, and so will the rest of the team. But let's get a few other updates as we've started updating here. It does look like residents of the northern area of the Golan Heights are being told to stay in shelters until further notice. And at any time of an air raid siren, which we've already seen or heard air raid sirens going off, somebody should stay in a shelter for at least 10 minutes, if not potentially longer. Dozens of Israeli planes are apparently flying around Israeli airspace right now, prepared to counterattack from these drone attacks and cruise missiles coming. It does look like we've got, let's see here, residents near the northeastern and southeastern parts of Israel are now actually being told to just remain in bomb shelters until further notice. These updates coming in, as well as airspace mostly cleared out on trackable airspace. We have France strongly condemning the attack and coming out with ironclad support for Israel. The United States has already done that. You've got a UN statement coming out conducted on the strength of Article 51 of the UN Charter pertaining to legitimate defense. Iran's military action was in response to the Zionist regime's aggression against our diplomatic premises in Damascus. So this looks like it's a statement not from the UN, but instead it's this is a statement from the Iranian United Nations. Okay, that's very interesting. So a portion from them. This is very similar to what we've seen the leader, the Ayatollah of Iran, already come out and say that the state of Israel is a Zionist and evil regime that needs to be stopped. This is clearly an attempt now to overwhelm the multi-level defenses that Israel has by attacking simultaneously with slower-moving drones, with faster-moving missiles, all from all directions, frankly. So from the east, which would be from Iran over the territory of Jordan or Syria, from the north, which would be Hezbollah through Lebanon, and then, of course, the Houthis in the south via Yemen. You're generally not going to get attacks from the west because that's where you've got a lot of U.S. warships and defenses. These warships are, of course, launching U.S. fighter jets in conjunction with British naval forces, also launching jets to help fight some of these drone launches. I'm taking a peek here at what we have. We've got more reaction coming out. The EU strongly condemns. So the French and EU ministries now coming out to condemn this. Iranian state news agency claims that Tehran has fired ballistic missiles at targets inside of Israel. There are some comments here that potentially there have been blackouts or even explosions inside Tehran that, if true, would be deemed to be already in place sort of counterattacks. Again, Tehran is establishing jammers in its city to try to mitigate some of the expected counterattacks in Tehran. Notable warning here, Iran's semi-official Mehr news agency cites comments from the country's defense minister. Any country that opens its airspace or ground to Israel for attacking Iran will receive Iran's decisive response. This is something we talked about a little bit earlier. We're seeing those gas rushes now occurring throughout the region, and we expect those to worsen And it does look like a U.S. official has just confirmed minutes ago that U.S. forces in the Middle East are involved in the interception of Iranian one-way suicide drones. We've already been reporting this, so we expect that to continue. That does sort of. I mean, it's not going to take a lot for, unfortunately, one U.S. plane to start getting involved in this action to a level of receiving damage themselves, and then all of a sudden the United States is under attack, or the United Kingdom is under attack. This could escalate very, very quickly. Obviously, we don't want it to, and we would expect a very large response from Israel and the United States. Israel is saying there will be a large response whether or not there are casualties. But again, we expect risk assets to continue to have heart palpitations. We did, of course, see Bitcoin move down substantially. Although it is now recovering, it is down now to 62,900. It looks like it bottomed out right around the 61,700 level. We are seeing some recovery, although as this situation escalates, we could start seeing risk assets move more. So we'll keep an eye on those. As I get more updates, I will provide update number 3, so make sure to subscribe to the channel, and we'll keep these consolidated updates coming to you. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. We'll be reviewing those, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much, and we'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.